saying, quote, "It is not an accident of history that Hitler abolished German trade unions or that farmers and small business owners were more sympathetic to the Nazi cause than were industrial workers reared on unionism." Here with reaction, Steve Hilton. He is the former Director of Strategy for British Prime Minister David Cameron and the CEO of CrowdPack, and he joins us live from California. Good morning to you, Steve.
Great to be with you.
So, in other words, the reason Donald Trump is doing so well is because unions have fallen on hard times, and they're just not there to make us smart.
It's completely unbelievable. People use that phrase jaw-dropping.
Right.
When I read this at the weekend, my jaw literally dropped. We hear a lot in this election campaign about tone and criticisms of Donald Trump's tone. Think about the tone of this guy. He's writing, this professor in the New York Times, is writing about white working-class Trump supporters as if they're kind of dumb savages who just need to be saved by Christian missionaries. And actually, even though it's one article in one newspaper, I think it goes to a broader point about this election campaign where you see critics of Trump, not just on the left actually, but the right, the never-Trump Republicans. When they talk about Trump supporters, they say that they're not just wrong, they're kind of morally inferior. There's something shameful about supporting Trump. And I think that is really disrespectful to the millions of decent Americans who are just voting for finally to get some change from a political system they just don't trust anymore.
Surely. So, Steve, who are the Trump supporters? I mean, obviously, this particular article in the New York Times, which, of course, it sets the agenda for the American left, what they're trying to say is, back in the old days, almost everybody belonged to a union or had somebody in a union family, and so the union would set them straight because they'd vote Democrat. But now, these people who are supporting Donald Trump all across the country, who are they, and why are they behind this guy who made so much money here in New York and across the world?
I think it's much more complicated than just saying here's a bunch of uneducated white people who respond to his message, because there aren't enough of them to deliver the kind of support he's getting. I think what you're seeing with the Trump campaign is people, both of who used to support the Democrats as well as the Republicans, who are really sick and tired of politicians for year after year after year making promises that turn out never to be delivered. And they feel that finally here is someone who might just shake things up, bring some change, and deliver on their promises. And I thought Trump's speech last night, not just the parts where he talked about law and order and policing, but where he really presented himself as a kind of outsider who can bring the change that people are yearning for, was a great example of why people are responding to him.
Surely. You look at the Trump supporters, and you got to figure, a lot of these people must have lead stomachs, because the way the political left and the mainstream media beats them up, vilifies them, calls them bigots and racists and whatever they can, ISTs they can think of, they pile on these people. And nonetheless, his support seems to be hanging tough at a certain level.
I think that's exactly right, and it shows how fed up people are with the system. And I just think that, honestly, if we're going to have a decent, respectful campaign here, those who are criticizing Trump, that's fine. He's the candidate. He puts himself out there. Say what you like about him. But I think it's completely wrong to vilify and denigrate his supporters when all they want is a decent future for their family and their community, and they finally see someone who might actually bring about change.
Sure. Regardless of the message, though, you look at the structure of the political system in the country, and right now the political left is supported by the mainstream media. And so, you open up a major American newspaper and you look at it, there's 10 critical articles about Donald Trump and nary a word about Hillary Clinton and these perjury problems she might have in front of the U.S. Congress.
I think that's right, but we have to be honest about it and look at all the different ways that people are getting their information these days, not just from those sources, but a whole range of news sources. And remember that in the end, I think the most powerful factor in elections tends to be word of mouth. It tends to be people talking to their friends and their families and their colleagues in their communities about what really is the right vote for them and will deliver the results that they want. So I think it's easy sometimes to overstate the power of the traditional press.
Steve Hilton, the CEO of CrowdPack, thank you very much for getting up early out in California to talk to us today.
It's good to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, coming up, after Donald Trump went to Wisconsin, where should he go now? Frank Luntz knows. And Frank has a 5-step strategy for the Donald, and he's going to share it the next hour. And the United States Marines are looking for a few good women. Think you have what it takes, ladies? Well, they're putting us to the test right here on the plaza. Live from New York City, this is the world's #1 cable morning news show, Fox and Friends.